Hello everyone. If you have one of these Wi-Fi Panorama camera things, this is a quick PSA to tell you that you should not leave these unplugged for too long. For context, I had this thing set up pointed at my door, just to see a live feed of, who's at the door. Unfortunately, this is an indoor camera, there's no waterproofing or anything, so I had it set up indoors. Because of that, the interior of the house was properly exposed, while the person actually at my front door was not. So this camera wasn't really optimal for what I was looking for. In the end, I found that a blink floodlight camera was way better because I could actually leave it outside. So it has been sitting around ever since. Because I am out of ideas. Because I'm a good YouTuber, yes. I decided that this is probably worth making a video on. So I plug it in, and it doesn't work anymore. The camera is nice because there's very little manual input. There's only an SD card slot and a reset switch. Obviously, I've tried everything from holding the reset switch for like a minute, unplugging, replugging the SD card. I can't get any signs of life out of this thing. Quite unfortunate. All that's really left for me now is just... Why aren't you working, damn it? Anyway, as for my actual thoughts on the device, before it stopped working, it was actually really good for what I paid for this. Now, I found this on Temu, for around $5 or $6. It's been a year, so I can't really remember. And for what I paid, this is actually really good value for money. It's actually kind of too good. It's kind of suspicious. For example, you can find a decent quality mini camera like this for around $10. You can find cameras for like $5 or less, but usually that's like A9 levels of bad. This thing, which has a wide-angle lens, LED floodlights, infrared lights, a swiveling motor, as well as a pivoting motor, speaker on the back, motion detection, and object tracking. This is insanely good value for money. So this does have a companion app called Ease Life, and while the app does have ads, I understand that may be discouraging for some people. Personally, it's reassuring because it's evidence of how they make their money. In my opinion, they can't be making a lot of money by selling this device. There's no way that the cost of all the parts here isn't close to like $5 or $6. This camera records 720p at 15 frames per second. It's decent enough for interior shots. However, the biggest problem with this camera is that it likes to compress the video a lot. I understand that they need to cut down on the video size to save space, but at this point, it's too much. The object tracking is pretty solid. However, you gotta be moving pretty slow and within its field of vision for it to work. If I ran past the camera wouldn't track me any further. However, the camera doesn't track up or down, it only moves left or right. In terms of night vision, I like the mode where the infrared lights are always on, and when it detects motion, then it will turn on the floodlights. Now, the floodlights aren't very bright in person, but they are bright enough for the camera to see pretty clearly. Because of how the camera works, this light is directional. Think of it like a flashlight. It's only pointing one place at a time, so you should not replace an actual light bulb with this camera. Now, the motion detection is not perfect. There are a ton of false positives. Pretty much any clips that it records at 3 or 4 a.m. is basically it jumping at nothing. It's also kinda creepy when it jumps around on its own, especially when there's no one at the door. I must have been out of SD cards when I set up this device because I was using the fake SanDisk SD card with this. Because of that, a good majority of the files on my SD card is now corrupted. Now I am about to show some of the corrupted clips. If you are sensitive to flashing lights at all, I recommend that you look away right now. Anyway, the corruption makes the clips very creepy. It's as if I've made a horror movie within my own house. Well, that's it for now. If you skip to the end, the key takeaway is that this thing is pretty good. Don't expect it to last though, and also don't use fake SD cards.